Okay, last but not least, the last one is all to do with projects. This could be a project of any kind. The project could be launching a new business. It could be a new initiative. It could be a new product. It could even be an event. It could be whatever you wish. One of the big things, especially from an offshore energy background, that we always look at is risk. In particular, what can go wrong? Often in bigger projects, you often in advance will do something called a risk matrix, where basically you map out all of the probability of something happening and also the impact if it happens. So for instance, in England, an earthquake could be massively devastating, but it's very, very unlikely to happen. And actually in England, I don't think we've ever had a decent earthquake that actually could cause damage. That's low risk. But the point is, when you're looking at everything that you do, often when you look at the risk and you think of everything that could go wrong, I'll be honest, for a lot of small businesses and kind of freelancers, it's always in hindsight. So for instance, your car gets broken into and someone steals your laptop. You lose the project you've been working on or some client work. And you're like, why didn't I just insure it or do backup? Data backups are one of those classic things that everyone knows they should do, but actually not everyone does. I have 2 sets and it was almost, so I have this 2 terabyte solid state drive, which I use everywhere between my laptop and my iMac when I'm out on site and stuff. And I thought, actually, you know what, if I was to lose that or it was nicked, I'd kind of be in trouble. So I now have double backups. I have one at home and one in the office. So even if this office burned down, I still don't lose anything. And it's that kind of thing that's always really worth, kind of looking at. But especially if you've got something coming up, which is really important. When people die, historically in a hospital, after the event, it's called a post-mortem. So basically, after they're dead, what happened? But the whole issue with that instance is that, yeah, it's great if you're a doctor and you're trying to figure out cause of death. But actually in business or your career, we kind of want to prevent it from happening, because that isn't good. What we don't want is the business to fail and then think, what could we have done? One of the really good things is it's called a pre-mortem. And this is quite a common concept now, but just something I just wanted to talk about. And especially as a freelancer or solopreneur or small business owner, if you are launching a new project, especially if it's important or it could be critical for what you're trying to do, or to be honest, even if you're going to recruit someone, it's important to sit down in advance and actually think, okay, what could go wrong with this project? If I was to do what could go wrong with live streaming, camera could fail, the internet could go down, I could have a heart attack live on air, and there's hundreds of things that could kind of happen. The important thing is that when you do this in advance, you can actually then mitigate a lot of these risks. And a prime example, it could be that if you want to go into a new business with a partner and you want to launch a new coffee shop on a high street, there are lots of things that you could do, and it's really worth looking at to actually in advance say, well, actually, what happens if, or basically, how could this project fail? One of the partners could pull out, they get cold feet, your bank won't give you finance, and basically it's to go through everything that could go wrong in advance so that you can plan for it, you can mitigate it, and then again build your strategy around how you can execute, but almost nothing comes up. Because one of the classic things, and this happens all the time, arguably I think this is almost how Fukushima happened, which was the nuclear disaster in Japan. You will have people that have concerns about stuff that they kind of think, yeah, but communication's really bad and that won't get passed on or whatever. It's giving people permission, especially within a team, to be able to talk about things and actually, raise concerns for how they think this project could fail, so that you can mitigate them and get different eyes and ideas on a project before you actually kind of come to execute. It's a really simple tool to think about. Actually think about for yourself, What could go wrong with something that you've got coming up in the next kind of 6 months, a year? Is there anything you could do to kind of help that? And actually, even maybe with a friend, brainstorm with this in advance. And at least forewarned is forearmed. You can be prepared for whatever could happen next, but don't leave anything almost to chance and die in the process. Have a pre-mortem, look at your project, think actually, look, we've got this really good initiative coming up. We've got this great event that we're going to launch in December. What could go wrong? And then actually when people can list out all the different stuff, it's a great way to mitigate it and hopefully give you a very successful event.